I change your bum life. You fight me, it's a celebration.
I'll beat you.
When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Are you ready?
That goes in the files.
Are you ready? Let's get it all!
Yo, welcome back to the 5th round. As always, your boy, Stephen Moustaris. And you guys know what? It's fight week, UFC 287. I want to be sitting here talking about Alex Pereira versus Izzy. I want to be talking about, can Gilbert Burns, beat Jorge Masvidal? Can Masvidal get one more title fight with a win over Burns? I want to talk about Kevin Holland, Santiago Ponzinibbio fight, which is fucking phenomenal. Raul Rosas Jr., 18-year-old, 19-year-old now, whatever, making his return to the UFC for the first time since his first win. It's pretty fucking excited about all these cards, all these fights on this card this weekend. And yet, here I am sitting down talking about the WWE. Endeavor decides, Endeavor, who bought the UFC just, a couple years ago, for that, all the billions of dollars they spent on the UFC, and are they going to make their money back? And then all of a sudden, at WrestleMania last night, they announced, Endeavor decides they're going to buy, 51% of the, the stake of WWE, and now they're going to mix UFC and WWE together, and it's going to be run by Emmanuel and, Vince McMahon, and oh man, as an MMA fan, guys, that was one of the most upsetting things I've seen ever yesterday. Like, just from my point of view alone, like, guys, I've been a huge fan for like 15, 16 years. I'm a broken record if you watch my videos. 15, 16 years of being a fan of MMA, like, especially more so the UFC, clearly, like, but just the sport in general. Like, I wasn't there personally. I wasn't on the battle lines of it, but I was definitely there as a fan, noticing what was going on at the time. Like, dude, we were still being, all these fighters being called, human cockfighters, as barbarians, just these fights shouldn't be happening. Like, and then, and then you have to try to see the sport legitimize itself over the years. And it's spent 15, 16 years to legitimize itself. And then we're finally starting to see how, for the most part, on average, 99% of the guys that we see in there, like, yeah, they might talk shit before the fight, but every time after the fight, what makes fighting game so beautiful is that, they're going to respect each other for their art that they just showed. And they just mix their arts together right there just to see who had the better art, who had the better skill set. And that's all it is. They leave it at there, and they're good friends. Like, yeah, I'm sure deep down the ego hurts a little bit on the loss, but you're always seeing them make up. You're always seeing them respect the guy, and that's what's beautiful about this sport. And it's taken so long to legitimize it and become one of the fastest growing sports in the world, and then all of a sudden, we're just gonna. And this is no hate towards WWE. I used to be the biggest wrestling fan back in the day as a kid. Like, I was a big WCW guy, and then clearly once they got bought out, clearly you become a WWE guy, and then you start growing up and you get out of that, and then you start realizing there's real fighting out there, and that's what I'm a fan of. I love MMA, but don't get me wrong, I definitely watched WrestleMania this weekend. It was the first one I've watched in years, but just because the whole storylines were going on was really good. And going to Hollywood, it was a big show, and then now the UFC decides, to Endeavor more, you're going to buy WWE and then mix them together, and it's like, I feel like we're just taking 50 steps back. You just took all these years to legitimize the sport, and now we're going to go from, going from, barbarians and human cockfighting to now, like, okay, the sport's turning into a gimmick. Like, I'm already getting, like, guys, I'm not even that big. I only got a couple hundred followers and shit, which I really appreciate all of you guys that do it, subscribers or whatever on YouTube. Like, I just do this to talk about my sport I love, but, I get comments from people all over the world talking about how they're kind of already getting sick of the UFC and how gimmicky it's becoming. Like, just a couple weeks ago, we were fucking bitching and moaning about how, Colby Covington gets a title shot over Bilal Muhammad and all these things because, he hasn't won, he hasn't fought in so long, and, he's just getting it off of his name. And then the Conor McGregor's out there. He's one win away from if he beats Michael Chandler this year, we're probably going to get him, shoved down our throats for a title fight with him against Islam or him against Leon, whatever one he decides, which is absolutely terrible. Like, there's so many guys out there at 170 that have been fighting their asses off that deserve it. There's guys at 155 that have been fighting their asses off that deserve it. And, not to even be funny here either, and it's kind of perfect timing, but I remember just, last year or whatever, right, when Alex Pereira and Izzy fought for the first time, a lot of people were pissed that Pereira got the fight. Like, okay, cool, you beat Izzy a couple times in Muay Thai, but, like, this is MMA, dude. It's the UFC, and it's like he comes in, gets like 2 wins, and then gets that win over Sean Strickland, and you're like, that's what a title fight, and it's funny now because he goes on and beats Izzy, and it's just the styles work out, but it's just still, man, it's like it's already getting gimmicky as it is. We're already giving, title fights or big spots to these guys like Jorge Masvidal. No offense to that guy, I love Jorge, but like, and he's still a name and everything, but I think I would have much rather watched Gilbert Burns fight, Bilal Muhammad or Jeff Neal. I know Jeff Neal was fine. I'm just saying, I'm naming different guys like Shavkat Rakhmonov, like these guys that have been fighting forever. Fucking Michael Chiesa, fucking Santiago Ponzinibbio. Fucking, you go on for days. I'm going for days. Fucking Vicente Luque. Like, just keep going and going. And these guys deserve to get these fights over the Jorge Masvidal out there, like who hasn't fought. Last time we did see him fight, he loses in a one-sided match against Colby Covington, and then loses and decides he's going to go out on his own terms and sneak him and go hit him at a club and stuff and get sued and all these things. Like, I don't know, I'm just getting worried, man. I love this sport so much. MMA has been becoming my favorite sport of all time. Like, I was a big basketball guy there for a while, and MMA is just blowing that out of the water. I'm trying to get media credentials. I'm saying, I'm loving this sport. It's one of my favorite sports forever. And I take it very personal. I feel like I'm a part of it. I've been a part of this growth. I know I'm not a fighter or anything. I get that. Luckily I've trained and I've done my thing. But like, I know I'm not, the fighter. So I couldn't imagine how they fucking feel. But if I'm taking it this personally, like, I'm just really worried that they're going to ruin this shit, man. Like, we just did all these, the last 15, 16, 20 years, 30 years, the UFC 30 logo, but more so the last 20 years, they've been doing everything in their power to get everybody to love this sport and get it, to be a household sport. And, to get these guys like Connor, John Jones, all these people, and going for days and days and days to become household names. And we finally do it. And we go, oh, no, we're just going to buy the WWE. We're going to combine them. We're going to let Vince McMahon, Ari Emmanuel run it, who are phenomenal promoters. I won't lie, phenomenal at business running when it comes to, wrestling. So I'm just worried. I'm just worried because you guys are already worried about, who's getting title fights because of names and stuff. Like, just wait until fucking Seth Rollins walks out to get a title shot against Leon Edwards just because the money was right and they just decided to do something. Or Roman Reigns decides, oh, I truly am the man. Let me fight John Jones in a stupid debacle. Or vice versa, Conor McGregor, say he loses to Chandler or does win or something, then he decides, oh, I'm going to go over to WWE on Monday and I'm going to wrestle for the fucking, whatever the fuck their world championship is now. I forget what the fuck, Universal Championship, whatever the hell it is. Like, just shitting all over the sport, in my opinion. And I'm really worried. I'm really worried that we're going to see the UFC completely take a dive. And they're talking about, putting UFC and WWE in its own little thing and making it its own organization. And it's like, what, are you going to change the fucking name now? Are we going to have WWE, the sports entertainment thing where they don't even like us saying wrestlers anymore? And then the other side's going to be the WWE MMA thing. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And I'm very worried about this. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Very worried. So I don't know what you guys are feeling like. I was just sitting here a couple months ago going hard in the paint for, Francis Ngannou and backing him up. And like, here's the thing now, this is going to look really bad. This is the number one thing that, UFC and Endeavor and WWE been tweeting out for the last 24 hours, 12 hours since it's been announced. Is all of a sudden the UFC went from what, 4 billion, 5 billion, whatever, 2 billion, whatever the hell it's worth technically right now, to now with the Endeavor buying WWE, now all of a sudden UFC's appraised at like 21.9 billion or something. Like, okay, that's cool and all, but are we going to start seeing the fighters get paid like they got 22 million in the bank basically, and all this in the worth or whatever? Are we going to start seeing fighters get health insurance? Are we going to see the first guy on the card get paid 500,000 just to show for the fight, and then another 500,000 for a bonus instead of getting 25 or 30K or 10K, 15K, whatever the fuck it is now? Like, if that's the case, are we going to see the health insurance? Are we going to see the better pay? Are we going to see all these things? Like, are we going to see these guys get for sure guaranteed pay instead of just in case one of their guys, like, because if you guys don't know, like, I'm sure they get paid their show even if their opponent backs out, but they don't get a chance to get that winning bonus. Like, so you just put 6 months into training and get away from your family and all this stuff, and your fucking opponent backs out the night before or misses weight or something. And now, okay, yeah, you got paid, your 10K to show, but like, if somebody on their first fight on the card, man, like, they need that extra 10K and maybe even a chance at a 50K bonus and stuff. Like, I just really hope if it's gonna work out, and I think there is a chance, and I'm probably overreacting a little bit here, but if it does seem to work out, like, that's one thing that's gonna have to change. There's gonna have to be fighter insurance, health insurance. It's gonna have to be, everything like I'm talking about. It's got to be higher pay. There's got to be more incentives, man, because we see what the WWE does, man. I watched WrestleMania last night. Like I said, Ronda Rousey wrestled for 10 seconds of a 10-minute match with 8 women in the ring. It was a 4-way fucking tag fight. And, she's the biggest name over there in the women's division, even though she's terrible at wrestling, at least in WWE wrestling. Don't get me wrong. She's a great grappler, but this woman literally sits there for 9.5 minutes, takes, I think, one little fall, and acts like she can't be in the fight forever. And then she gets tagged in with the last 30 seconds just to throw the armbar in. And I'm sure she got paid fat for that. Brock Lesnar, same thing. Had like a 2-minute match against a huge guy, almost, or something like that. And literally got devoured the entire time. Threw up 3 suplexes or whatever for Suplex City. Threw an F5 up, and it's like, that dude got paid millions to show up for 2 minutes. It's like, okay, these guys get taken care of very well, and the guys that are full-timers have to do this almost every day of the year, 350 days of the year, be away from their family, put their life on the line, and, they don't even get the spots that these guys get. So, like, I don't know. I'm just worried, man, and all around. And if I was a WWE fan right now, I'd be really upset, too, for my wrestlers, because, like, what's that mean? Like, what, now Conor McGregor's got a chance to come over here and take some shine from whoever the fuck they're a fan of, Sami Zayn, whatever. I'm terrible at the wrestlers now. I just know like 4 or 5 of them. But I'm just saying, like, what, we're gonna have them take over Brock Lesnar? Anything. We're gonna have Conor McGregor come in. We're gonna have John Jones come in. We're gonna have this come in. Izzy come in. We're gonna have GSP come in. Daniel Cormier come in to wrestle Brock. Like, I don't know. I'm just really fucking worried, and I just don't know what to expect. And if you guys got anything in mind, please share what you guys feeling, because man, I'm really worried as an MMA fan right now. So. Anyway, let me get back to the UFC 287 shit. Keep up on this, guys. I'm going to be calling up fights all weekend. Or all week, I should say, breaking down shit, giving some betting odds, getting all that stuff out for UFC 287. It's fight week. It's one of the biggest fight weeks around, so we've been pretty lucky on that. And let's enjoy the UFC right now while we got the UFC as it is, instead of Endeavor with WWE and UFC. I'm very confused. So, but as always, Stephen Moustaris, thank you guys for watching. And I mean, if you guys want to subscribe, go for it. I don't really give a fuck. It's kind of cool, whatever. But, if you guys want to comment, that's all I do this for. It's just the interaction. I don't have friends that know the sport like I do. So, I'm looking for other diehards or other big fans out there that, just want to chop it up. It's fun stuff. So, whatever. I hope you guys have a good one. Let's go, baby.